July 16, 1945. At 5:30 in the morning, in the vast desert of New Mexico, a deafening explosion occurred. This wasn't any ordinary detonation. It marked the inaugural test of a nuclear weapon. This pivotal moment was named Trinity, and the visionary behind it was scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer. The sheer magnitude of this explosion left Oppenheimer stunned. He had anticipated a force equivalent to around 0.3 kilotons of TNT. However, the actual explosion proved to be a staggering 50 times more powerful. Such was its intensity that a steel tower was instantly vaporized. Its shockwave resonated for an impressive 160 kilometers, and a massive mushroom cloud climbed a height of 12 kilometers. Witnessing this cataclysm, a reflective Oppenheimer recited a line from the Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." With the release of Christopher Nolan's recent film, it seems fitting to spotlight Oppenheimer. Who was this enigmatic figure? Was he a beacon of progress, or a harbinger of doom? And how did he grapple with the knowledge that his creation led to profound loss? Join us as we unravel this tale today.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Julius Robert Oppenheimer, often revered as the father of the atomic bomb, helmed the Manhattan Project, which birthed the world's first nuclear arsenal. Our journey begins with his formative years. Born in 1904 to a German Jewish family in New York City, Oppenheimer was recognized as a prodigy early on. By age 10, he was deeply engrossed in advanced physics and chemistry. His expertise in mineralogy, understanding the essence of minerals, was so profound that by 12, he was invited to present at New York's Mineralogical Club. In 1922, upon joining Harvard, he swiftly completed his 4-year degree in just 3, consistently shining bright. While his major was chemistry, his intellectual pursuits were vast, ranging from physics and philosophy to literature and even the nuances of Eastern spirituality. However, Oppenheimer discerned his true calling lay in the realm of physics. In the latter part of 1927, at just 23 years of age, he completed his PhD. But behind this brilliant mind was a darker, hidden side. Those close to him noted Oppenheimer had tendencies towards self-destruction, immersed deeply in his studies to the point of isolation. A chain smoker, battling depression, he once confided in his brother, "I need physics more than friends." His relentless focus on his studies allowed little room for awareness of the evolving world around him. This persisted until the early 1930s, when Adolf Hitler's rise to power in Germany signaled a shift in global dynamics. The severe oppression under Hitler's regime saw many German scientists fleeing to America. Big names such as Albert Einstein and John von Neumann, a pioneer of modern computing, made the move. Others included Leo Szilard and Enrico Fermi, both destined to play vital roles in our tale, alongside Hans Bethe, the discoverer of stellar fusion, and Edward Teller, dubbed the father of the hydrogen bomb. This influx of German Jewish intellectuals, including Oppenheimer's own family background, awakened a political consciousness in him as he bore witness to the atrocities inflicted upon Jews. Here's a piece of reflection from Oppenheimer dating back to 1936. "I started to understand how deeply political and economic events affect people's lives. I felt the need to participate in this community. During this time, inspired by left-wing ideologies, he frequently attended political gatherings, generously supporting labor unions and farm workers on strike through financial donations." Then, in September 1939, a critical turn of events took place as Hitler initiated the invasion of Poland, marking the commencement of World War II. A month prior to the war's outset in August 1939, Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard sent a cautionary letter to the US President, Franklin D. Roosevelt. They alerted him to Hitler's endeavors in nuclear weaponry, emphasizing the imperative need for America to gear up defensively. Without hesitation, President Roosevelt convened an advisory committee to explore uranium's potential applications in warfare. This task force of experts embarked on probing whether uranium could be harnessed into a formidable weapon. Funding soon flowed to Enrico Fermi and Leo Szilard, delegating them with the mission to unravel the secrets of nuclear chain reactions and the intricate process of uranium isotope separation. The thing is that the naturally found uranium on Earth is the uranium-238 isotope. less than 1% of the uranium is actually a U-235 isotope, and only this U-235 isotope could be used to make the bomb. The first challenge for these scientists was to find a way to make uranium-235 using the uranium-238. Despite the wealth of knowledge Einstein could offer, he was kept in the dark due to his pronounced left-wing affiliations, perceived as a potential security liability. We find Oppenheimer immersed in nuclear fission research alongside Edward Teller and a team of adept scientists as the 40s unfolded. The year 1940 bore witness to the discovery of plutonium, another potential ingredient for nuclear weapons. Fast forward to October 11, 1941, a significant correspondence transpired between President Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, broaching a collaborative effort in atomic development. Not much later, on December 7, 1941, the trajectory of America's role dramatically shifted when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, compelling America to officially join the World War II.
A state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire,
announced President Roosevelt, affirming America's alliance with the Allied powers against the adversaries, Germany and Japan. With the onset of the war, what began as a scientific endeavor quickly escalated into a high-stake military mission, commanding an enormous budget of $2.2 billion, equivalent to around $24 billion today when adjusted for inflation. Recognizing the urgency and gravity of the situation, President Roosevelt entrusted the task to the Army Corps of Engineers in June 1942. Thus, the Manhattan Engineer District established its base in Manhattan, New York, marking the official inception of the legendary Manhattan Project on August 13, 1942. Under the leadership of Colonel Leslie Richard Groves, appointed the following month, Oppenheimer was chosen to spearhead the atomic bomb's design. To maintain utmost secrecy, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, also known as the Secret City, was selected as the project site, where thousands converged with a singular focus: to transform uranium-238 into uranium-235, a more fissionable material capable of sustaining a nuclear chain reaction. 4 potential methods were explored to facilitate this conversion, including gaseous diffusion and electromagnetic separation. The latter involved using a magnet to segregate U-235 from U-238, while the former required passing uranium hexafluoride gas through a porous membrane to filter out heavier U-238 molecules. Concurrently, scientists endeavored to generate plutonium, a byproduct of uranium-238, discovered to be more radioactive and fissionable than uranium-235, showcasing a promising potential for the project. Searching for a secluded site for Project Y, where the bomb's actual assembly would transpire, General Groves envisioned a remote setting to uphold secrecy. Oppenheimer proposed the picturesque Pecos Valley in New Mexico, a place fondly associated with his summertime memories, characterized by its encompassing mountains and scenic vistas. As arrangements solidified, a pressing task loomed, validating the theoretical concepts through practical experimentation. It fell upon scientist Enrico Fermi to undertake this monumental task. Inside a squash court at the University of Chicago, Fermi orchestrated the first man-made nuclear chain reaction, illuminating a bulb and bringing to life the theories that had been on paper until that moment. The clickety-clack of their instruments proved they had achieved the first human-made nuclear chain reaction. Meanwhile, witnessing Oppenheimer's adept leadership, General Groves was keen to appoint him as the director of Project Y. However, reservations lingered among senior military officials, echoing previous skepticism towards Einstein, grounded in Oppenheimer's close connections with several individuals with strong communist affiliations, including his own family members. He was influenced by left-wing ideologies himself, which were closely tied to communist viewpoints. In America, there was a prevailing fear that this communist leaning could be contrary to their national interests. However, despite the hesitation and concerns, General Groves personally supported Oppenheimer and said that this project could not happen without Oppenheimer and that he was essential for this project. And because of this, on 20th July 1943, Oppenheimer was made the lead of this project. The task was monumental: to create an atom bomb, a weapon of unprecedented power. This required Oppenheimer's expertise in calculating the critical mass, a term referring to the minimal amount of uranium-235 or plutonium needed to maintain a chain reaction that would facilitate a bomb explosion. Though this concept might seem straightforward today, during that period, there were numerous unknown factors, making the task extremely complex. The properties of uranium-235 were largely unexplored, and plutonium-239 had only been discovered 3 years earlier, in 1940. Moreover, by the end of 1943, a mere 2 milligrams of plutonium had been produced. Undeterred, America pressed on, developing 2 types of atom bombs concurrently. The first, named Little Boy, was based on uranium-235 and utilized a gun-type mechanism to combine 2 subcritical masses of uranium-235 rapidly, reaching a critical mass that would then induce a fission chain reaction and create an explosion. The second, named Fat Man, was more complex, involving plutonium-239. Designing this bomb presented a challenge because using a gun-type design with plutonium would lead to premature detonation, preventing the necessary chain reaction.
Plutonium gun bomb will melt, not explode.
To overcome this, scientists conceived a novel design involving a subcritical mass of plutonium housed within a hollow sphere, surrounded by explosives. When these explosives were detonated, they would compress the plutonium to critical mass, a method known as the implosion method. While the gun method was familiar to the scientists, this was the inaugural use of the implosion method in theory. Oppenheimer insisted on testing this new concept before incorporating it into the bomb, a perspective which eventually won General Groves over, despite the scarce amount of plutonium available. This led to the historic Trinity test in the New Mexico desert, where the prototype bomb called Gadget, holding 13 pounds of plutonium, was suspended 100 feet above the ground on a steel tower. On the early morning of July 16, 1945, at 5:30 a.m., Gadget was detonated, unleashing a power greater than anticipated, with the tower vaporizing instantly. In the aftermath, a green-colored mildly radioactive glass called trinitite was found at the site. This groundbreaking event brought to Oppenheimer's mind a line from the Bhagavad Gita, a text he had studied in its original Sanskrit.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Oppenheimer cited the Bhagavad Gita as one of the guiding texts in his life, a book that left an indelible mark on his perspectives. Less than a month after the groundbreaking Trinity test, history took a dire turn. On the 6th of August, 1945, the Hiroshima sky was torn asunder by the detonation of Little Boy, a fearsome harbinger of destruction. Yet the world's shock deepened when, 3 days later, the Fat Man bomb was unleashed upon Nagasaki. A deeply distraught Albert Einstein verbalized his despair with a simple statement: "Woe is me." His reflection didn't end there. Mankind invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap. Oppenheimer's emotions were a whirlpool of conflicting sentiments. The Hiroshima bombing initially brought him a grim satisfaction as he pondered on its potential use against Nazi Germany and Hitler. However, the subsequent annihilation of Nagasaki plunged him into a state of shock and deep regret. This led him on a journey to Washington on 17th of August to meet the Secretary of War, his heart burdened with remorse and a fervent desire to prevent nuclear warfare in the future. The global stage saw significant changes as, in April 1945, President Roosevelt departed this world, passing on the mantle to Harry Truman. Truman found himself meeting with a tormented Oppenheimer 2 months post the Nagasaki tragedy. In this charged encounter, Oppenheimer made a haunting confession, saying, "I have blood on my hands." This admission triggered a fierce reaction from Truman, who vehemently expelled him from the office, unable to stomach Oppenheimer's raw expression of guilt. Yet, Oppenheimer continued to wrestle with the repercussions of his actions, involving himself with the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission in a zealous attempt to curb the proliferation of nuclear weapons. His commitment to this cause was unequivocal, and it stood firm even when faced with Truman's proposal of developing a hydrogen bomb in 1949. Despite Oppenheimer's staunch opposition, the hydrogen bomb became a reality, and tests echoed in 1952, largely owing to the contributions of Edward Teller, now hailed as the father of the hydrogen bomb. This period heralded a downward trajectory for Oppenheimer's career, as his ideological stance cost him his position. He found solace in academia, embarking on a path of education and sharing knowledge across the globe. Although a Nobel Prize evaded him despite 3 nominations, his contributions remained influential. In 1965, the relentless march of time claimed Oppenheimer at the age of 62, a life marred by constant smoking, finally succumbing to throat cancer. Today, we find ourselves in a world where 9 countries are armed with nuclear weapons. It is a testament to restrained diplomacy and perhaps a collective understanding of the devastating power of these weapons that we haven't witnessed their use in warfare for over 80 years. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.